Well, Brian, we all remember seeing these images in both May and June of 2020. Now the city has agreed to pay a record $9.25 million to more than 300 protesters who were injured by Philadelphia police during demonstrations following the murder of George Floyd.
What happened here was these protesters splintered, and part of that group ended up right on the middle of that expressway.
The option of deploying tear gas was selected only when it became evident that other options were not effective.
Mr. Weltch, also known as DJ, is a 36-year-old freelance journalist, a videographer with news to share and True Welch Media. He is one of the many people who are out on I-676, who represent folks from all walks of life.
Commissioner Outlaw made basically a directive or an approval, I guess you could say, to be able to use non-lethal munitions on the people. But I didn't realize that there was SWAT coming up from the reverse side as well. And at this time, you're hearing munitions crack inside of the underpass. You can hear it like just echoing next to you.
Philadelphia police say for 10 minutes, SWAT officers used tear gas and non-chemical white smoke to disperse a crowd of protesters from the Vine Street Expressway late Monday afternoon.
So the viewers need to understand you have no place to go at this point, because down there you have SWAT, tear gas. On top, if you climb up and you're up there where you think it's a safe zone, you got the bear putting tear gas.
Absolutely.
So everywhere is tear gas, and there's no place to run.
Was because Commissioner Outlaw had granted those munitions, but basically had a blanket approval to use them during that weekend, whereas it wasn't warranted.
Members of the SWAT unit deployed the following types of less than lethal munitions: OC spray, also known as pepper spray; CS gas, also known as tear gas; white smoke, which is used to dilute actual chemicals; beanbag rounds, and plastic pellets containing OC spray.
It traces the absolutely shocking conduct on 676, where police trapped hundreds of peaceful demonstrators on a steep hill with no safe means of escape, and while they were there, rained tear gas canisters and rubber bullets upon them.
Let me play devil's advocate a little bit here, so we can get both sides here. Do you think the aggression came from because the cars were burnt the day before? They thought the aggression was going to be 100 times worse.
Bingo.
So then they were like, screw this, we're going to put everything out there and stop these guys.
Absolutely.
Finally, our complaint traces the chronology of the city leadership's response to that conduct, which was to, at the outset, deny that they had done anything wrong, even in the face of weeks of reporting in local media confirming that conduct was a gross abuse of power.
The decisions to deploy gas are made by the incident commander that they're on scene. I'm not going to say names at this point. It's all unfolding. It would be fully investigated. They were there on the ground at that time. Whether or not there was clear, proper supervision during that incident will be handled as well.
Just judging by the thousands of people that showed up for a Monday, that would lead to a lot of anxiety and paranoia on the law enforcement front. Sure. You could see the excitement in their face, as they were gearing up their rubber bullets, their tear gas, as well as working concurrently with the National Guard.
Yeah, if you never got hit with tear gas, it feels like they're choking you and you cannot breathe. You feel like you're gonna die.
And I was completely shocked because there was no warning. I think a lot of the people would have been like, all right, that's it, time to pack it up, let's go home. But there was not a single warning, and I've been at a lot smaller demonstrations where they'll issue you a warning. Hey, if you don't go, you're going to be arrested. Hey, if you don't go.
And they usually get on the mic and they say,
absolutely,
leave this area, otherwise we're going to start tear gas.
So it was almost like, all right, let's meet them on the other side of this overpass on the highway. Let's have them come to us and then just unleash hell on them. Yeah, thousands of people deciding to go the opposite direction. It's a stampede.
Yep.
So that was the more important thing in my head, is like, yo, I'm going to get crushed here if I don't turn around and run.
Thousands of people start running the opposite direction. Everybody hold down! Go, go, go! absolutely. Those people got hit for sure.
We gotta go. They're stupid.
I feel something on my leg.
Oh, you got hit on the leg.
What'd you get hit with? Were they like paintball guns with like?
I think it was rubber.
They're firing at us. What the? Yes, they're firing directly at us.
Everybody's running the opposite direction. Oh man, I can't fucking breathe.
I got it.
They're shooting. There's literally nowhere to go because they're sandwiched on both ends. So everybody's getting pressed because you can't breathe, you can't see, up against the gate.
And I saw a lot of people having trouble climbing up that hill.
Yeah, when I got up to the highway embankment, went up to the fence, I looked at it and I was like, there's no way I'm getting over this thing. So depending on where you're standing on that highway embankment, the fence can be higher or lower depending on where you stand at. I'll help maybe 2-3 people up over the fence. At this time, I start regurgitating, like just everything is coming up, the excitement, like
because of the gas, or is it?
It's mostly the gas.
Look at this! They're trapped behind a fence, and the kids are trying to jump over. Oh my!
People behind me are throwing people over.
No, get out of here.
So, I'm gassed at this point. I can't see. All I hear is.
Feeling like I was going to pass out as well. So it was like a double whammy there. Like, hey, I need to do something or I'm going to end up in the hospital or in jail. I flipped. They helped cushion some of the blow, but I did land pretty hard. I got up, the person handed me the camera. I said, thank you so much. I walked 2-3 steps, dropped to the ground. Like, it was just pure exhaustion at that point.
Help! You're gonna... Help the fucking guy!
And now you're on the other side, right?
Now I'm on the other side of the fence. You can hear the screams and cries of people that were behind me because you see like this thick layer of tear gas and they have nowhere to go. People that weren't athletic enough to get over the fence or they weren't cooperating, like you work as a team to help each other up and over. Long-range acoustic device underneath the helicopter swoops in right above me, directly above me, and just starts ringing this loud alarm.
Now that's actually a weapon that makes you sick.
Yep. I've heard that before. Like it's supposed to disorient you, and it reacts to everybody differently.
But again, I was in a lot of pain for the rest of the week. Migraines persisted. I had difficulty concentrating. A lot of headaches for 2 weeks after, which I attribute to that noise coming from the bottom of the helicopter.
The helicopter started coming over with like the sound dispersing noise.
Just like a siren. And at the end of that siren, 1, 2, 3, be fired off. So we weren't getting shot from 2 spots, we were getting shot from everywhere.
There was a helicopter that was circling and coming extremely low. It seemed like it was trying to spook us a little bit by coming all the way down until you could feel the motion of it how it was on there.
And I've never seen anything like this in my entire fucking life. Never.
And it wasn't only that. Then when the SWAT teams came out on the ground, they were pulling out mace.
Outside of that fence, it became a battleground out there.
Right, and the bear's still there.
And that's what I was getting ready to talk about. Yeah, the bear was, at this point, was still firing tear gas and everything else.
Water.
A little bit, yeah, it's fine.
Do you need food or water?
So thank you. I got water here.
Can I rinse your face?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna be all right. We should get out of here if you can, okay?
Look at that shit! Look at that shit! Look at that shit!
What is it? Oh,
fucking burning in the street! You gotta move, dude!
Finally was getting my air back under me. I am beat up, exhausted at this point, pouring sweat from head to toe. And I got chemicals all over my body still, like my hairs on my arms were still burning. But there were people that were shot in the face with rubber bullets that day. They had permanent damage. It was okay, but then I'm like, crap, I need to find my security guard. I need to regroup with the other journalists. I hope they're okay. There's a million different things going through my head at this point. So I'm like, shit, to get back to where I need to go, I need to go right back to where the SWAT and National Guardsmen and everything else was.
That's a long walk.
That black tank, swing back around the corner. And I'm like, this is it, man. I'm fucked here. Like, because that tank that was coming around had the hose out this time.
Oh, man.
The hatch was open. It was a SWAT Philly PD officer holding the hose. And as they were driving by, I seen the National Guardsman was actually driving the vehicle. Going through. So that was the first time that I actually seen them working in tandem in the middle of action. It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to bring National Guards out to just basically stand there and block something. But to actually have them actively participating and quelling some sort of disturbance, like, was a first for me in Philadelphia.
And they were just spraying random people. If you were just sitting there, they were just spraying you.
Oh, yeah, there was quite a bit of that. So, as I was coming back, you see cans still being launched, and there's barely
There's
anybody
nothing going
there.
on. There's nothing going on. People are just sitting on the ground, and they're just spraying. And me and Mike are like, what are they doing?
They're just launching.
We're not doing anything
indiscriminately.
Yeah.
So there's clips on YouTube where you see tourists and other things just walking through the city of Philadelphia getting tear gas. Not to mention all the people that were on the highway that were stuck on the highway for traffic reasons, because of the demonstration, that couldn't get out because the tear gas was seeping through their exhaust. I mean, their central air system.
And there were kids in some of the vehicles that got tear gas because they were on the highway.
Absolutely.
And the police did not realize the total disregard for the kids that were in the vehicle.
Happening as city leaders defend the use of tear gas on protesters about 24 hours ago.
I have learned that relative to 676, those statements are substantively inaccurate, as I have now personally viewed video evidence that largely contradicts the material portions of those statements. I relied on information which was relayed to me after the initial deployment of the described munitions, and for that, I humbly apologize to those who were directly impacted. I am extremely disturbed and, quite frankly, sickened beyond description. Some of the video depicts our officers utilizing the force instruments gratuitously and in complete divergence from our policy, Directive 10.2, which states with specific regard to OC spray, the use of OC spray is not to be used for the dispersal of non-violent persons for disorderly crowds and in situations where people are peacefully exercising their constitutional rights of free speech or assembly.
I and I alone gave the approval to use CS gas. I did this based on what I could see from my position and also what I had been hearing on the radio. I had a clear understanding with Commissioner Outlaw on how I was to use less than lethal munitions. We had several conversations. I knew the rules of engagement. Commissioner Outlaw wanted me to call her prior to using any CS gas. I did that at 52nd and Market. I did not do that during the protest on 676. Things happened quickly. I didn't call the commissioner. I gave the approval, and it was me and me alone, like I said. For violating the rules of engagement and the commissioner's trust, I'm going to take a voluntary demotion to my previous civil service rank, which is Chief Inspector, and I believe that's going to happen immediately.
I got on the phone, let my wife and friends know I was okay. So they were watching my live stream. It went black, and they could still hear what was going on, and then it cut off completely. So from there, somebody told them on the live stream comments to flip to channel ABC, 6ABC. And when you see that, you see a helicopter view of 676 with a row of people all handcuffed. So it caused a lot of stress and anxiety on my family. Like, they thought something had happened to me, that I was injured. anything could have happened, but that's all they know at this point is cops have taken over 676. Everyone is zip tied, lined up on the highway, about to get in this bus.
My firm represents 80 plaintiffs in a case called Weltch versus City of Philadelphia. Every single one of those 80 plaintiffs was subjected to tear gassing and other abuse on June 1st, 2020, while engaged in peaceful political demonstration against police violence on Interstate 676. I'd like to make note of 3 points this morning. First, today is a day to honor the bravery and courage of the clients we represent. The 80 people who are plaintiffs in the Weltch case only became plaintiffs because they decided to raise their voices against systemic police violence.
You know, we all get up as a group and we start heading back to the parking garage, but then we're detained right there. The police stopped us under suspicion of Molotov cocktails.
Yes, I remember that. We were leaving the garage and the police stopped us. That's right.
Yup. At this point, I just wanted to go home. Like, I didn't care about footage. I don't care what I had. Just like, I just want to survive today. So the cops had us there for about 5-10 minutes, asking us a whole bunch of different questions. And, you know, you have your camera equipment. Mike had his. I have mine. The only one that looks like he's an outsider there was our security guard.
Yep.
But he was there with us. You know, I vouched for him. He didn't have any bottles or anything like that for any suspicion of Molotov cocktails or anything like that. So could it have been somebody who just falsely reported something, possibly? Or it could have been just additional harassment coming from that day.
Right.
They could seem that where the area we were walking from, oh, they must be up to no good. Like, anybody that's coming from there had to have been part of the ruckus.
Yeah, and the other thing was the garage parking was empty. We were the only vehicle in that garage.
Yep.
So they thought that we had Molotov cocktails.
All kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So when I got home, I never felt the intense pain that I had in my abdomen in my life. Like, it was literally like somebody was taking your insides and just twisting them up. Anytime I tried to move, whether it was left, right, or even just try to sleep and roll over, intense pain. I must have had a half-hour sleep that first night.
One such action will take place tomorrow, when an officer assigned to SWAT will be given formal notice of a 30-day suspension with intent to dismiss. That officer is observed on video utilizing OC spray on civilians in violation of our policy. He is being charged departmentally with conduct unbecoming an officer, unauthorized and or excessive use of force while in an official capacity.
I'm as disturbed as Commissioner Outlaw by what is depicted in the New York Times video report. Members of the department made decisions on use of force that were completely unacceptable. I fully support the Commissioner's decision to place a moratorium on tear gas and other non-lethal methods of responses, and sincerely hope it becomes permanent. I understand the Commissioner is also moving to quickly make personnel decisions that are appropriate given the horrid outcome that we saw. I'm also extremely disturbed by the arrest of reporters on that day and other days who were simply doing their jobs to ensure the public knows what's going on.
Putting this settlement into context, this case was not just about money, but let's consider the amount of money. $9.75 million total. That is one of the single largest settlements ever in the city of Philadelphia, and it is the largest involving a case of mass protest. I think I speak for all of the lawyers here in saying that we would prefer not to be here talking about this case. But when events like this occur, we will be here. We will be prepared to hold policymakers and officers accountable, and there will be a significant cost. And it is our sincere hope that knowledge of that cost, knowledge of the need for accountability, will lead to the significant changes that we all know are needed.
With everything that bad that happened that day, it was beautiful to see so many people helping me and helping so many others. I want to thank you all. And I hope that through these actions that we're taking today, that we can make sure that this doesn't happen to any other peaceful demonstrators.